Hello and welcome to Lights and Clockwork. Now that Unity 6 is out, we're going to take a look at how we can get started making an augmented reality app in the latest version. So this is the version that I'm using, 6.0.23. Don't know how many updates we'll get, but I'm just going to go straight into projects. Don't make the same mistake as me though. Make sure you do choose the right version before getting going. It's all now adapted all the different sort of pipelines. So I'm just going to say Universal 3D. Of course, giving it a sensible name. So this is my Unity 6 AR tutorial. It's going into a sensible folder. Not bothered about an organisation for now, so I'll just untick that and create a project. If you've watched any of my previous videos, this will all seem pretty familiar to you, and if you are new, then welcome. I'm going to do a quick speed run of how we can set up a full AI tracked image simulator. Okay, so I'm into Unity 6, took a while to set up, but here we are. If I now go onto Window Package Manager, I'm going to install the package that we need. I'm going to ignore it in project, straight to unit registry. This may take a moment or two to just refresh the list. I'm not going to click on AR because I don't need all of them. I just want 2 packages. So I'm going to scroll down to find our AR Foundation. I'm currently on 6.0.3. Maybe by the time you watch this could have changed, but I'm not worried about that right now. Just give that a moment to install. Okay, now I've got AR Foundation. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to look for the Google AR Core. There we go, Google AR Core. Install that as well. Okay, so that's an overview for the packages. I'm now going to go onto our Edit menu, Project Settings. I'm going to come down to XR Plugin Management and just tick the XR Simulation button. This should be all we really sort of need for everything to work. But I'll now go onto Window, onto XR, AR Foundation, XR Environment. This will allow us to do the simulation. I'm just going to drag this tab onto our top crossbar because I don't need 3 windows open. So now we've got an AR simulated environment to play with. Okay, so what's our next step? So the next step is we don't need the camera because there's a default camera here. So I'm going to delete, but there's no camera rendering. So I'm going to right click, XR, AR Session. So this is now very similar to my previous videos. XR Origin, and this is where things are a little bit different and caught me out. If I now press play, it doesn't quite work. There we go, we get yellow screen. We don't want yellow screen, so let's go into our project settings again, and there's 2 places I'm going to change this. One is in graphics. I'm going to where it says Universal Pipeline. I'm going to click on it and just say none. It's going to complain. I'm just going to go down to quality, and I'm also going to remove this one. I'm not sure if I need to remove both, but this way seems to work for me. So now I can close that down. Now when I press play, it should give us that simulated environment to play with. There we go, so we can now move the mouse around. We can see this not quite tracking image. So if you've watched my previous videos, that's all you need to do. Everything else is the same. But if you're new, might as well finish this off, a full little simulated system. So I'm going to press stop on the run there. I am going to duplicate this scene because this is the default scene. I can't make any change to it. So I'm going to say duplicate environment. I'm just going to call this sim scene 1. It's just so you've still got the original that's unbroken. I'm just going to shrink that window down a little bit, give myself a bit of space. I'm now going to go into edit mode. I'm already in edit mode, that's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete their tracked image. So this is a little bit different to my previous videos. There's actually we can do it a step quicker now. I'm just going to right click, create an empty. This is going to be our tracking image 1. I'm just going to come over here and just type in simulator tracked image. There we go, simulator tracked image. I don't need to add an image to the quad anymore, and I can now drag a picture on. So I've already grabbed a few pictures and saved them in. So one is a image I've had for a while from the Elite game, Elite Dangerous. So I've got tracked the picture on, leaving the size completely alone. I'm going to create another one, 3D object, not 3D object, sorry, empty. This time I'm going to put a picture from one of my other tutorials where I created a fish in Blender. So again, similar tracked image, just so we can see both work. And we can see the images straight on there. And now, again, if you watch the early ones, because it's just one object, I can move these around without accidentally separating them. So there we go, got a picture, 2 pictures, ready to track. So if I just come out of scenes, again, we can't see it, that just seems to come and go. I'm not worried at this point. So I've got our tracked images, we've got XR Origin. So what I need now is our tracked image manager. So if I go onto our tracked image manager, it wants us to have a library. So I'm going to create a library by right clicking over here, create XR reference image library, add an image. I'm going to want 2 images. So now I'm going to go back into my assets and drag the same 2 pictures. Now I'm going to change these in a moment because this is not the best way to do it. But I'm going to say keep texture at runtime. We know this seems to make things work. I can now go back onto XR Origin. It's not added the library yet, so I'm just going to drag our library on. I just accidentally saved the reference library. I didn't want it, so I've just done a quick search. I'm just going to drag it into my assets folder. So hopefully we should be able to now see it. So I'm clicking back onto my XR Origin. I'm going to drag this library across. So now it knows to look for this library. So this is just a quick test now. So if I press play, what I should see is trackables in this left hand side. Just zoom out a little bit. There we go. So as soon as it got it in the camera view, it could see the 2 trackable objects. So we know it's tracking. And just to see if it's now actually going to spawn something to that trackable point, I'm going to go back into Edit Environment. I'm going to create a quick asset, so a 3D object and a cube will do for this point. I'm just going to make sure it's reset. This puts it right in the middle of the screen. I can scale this down because I don't want it to be that big. I can drag the cube into the assets window. That converts it to a prefab. I can now delete it from there because we don't want it in the scene. So now, if I want to, I can drag that cube onto there. And then hopefully when it sees these pictures, it'll put that cube into the 3D space. Just try that out. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. There we go. So it's put the cube. Now, of course, we don't want to stop there, do we? We want to make sure it's got its own separate objects. So this is where I'm going to make a few little changes to it. So I've already brought in these pictures. So we can see that I've got my elite picture, I've got my fish picture, I've also got a 3D model of a spaceship, and I've got my model of a fish. But these need to be the same name. So I'm going to quickly rename these. I'm just going to call this Cobra. I'm going to call this fish, all lowercase for now, so I don't make any mistakes. I'm going to click back on my reference library. Obviously it's messed this up now, so I'm going to just change those images onto there. Oh, it's not liking that at all. So let's just delete those. It's a bit clumsy. I should have done this from start, but now it'll be fine. So I put Cobra and I put fish. It won't matter, or it shouldn't matter about the actual image, but we'll go back and just check to make sure it's not upset that over there. Yep, that's fine. So now I've got the image library again named properly, and I'm going to my models and I'm going to rename that. That's already fine, that's just Cobra. I'm going to go into my fish. That claims to be fish 2, so let's just rename that to just fish. Okay, so now what I can do is I'm going to go back onto my XR Origin. I'm going to drag this script. Now you can grab this script from my GitHub link below. So let's just zoom out. There we go. We've got 2 fish. What did I do wrong? We'll go and check the code and see if I made a mistake. Oh, that's what mistake I made. So one mistake is left the cube on. Let's delete that cube. Now because I'm in play mode, it will not remember that change. So let's just delete the cube from there. I should have done that originally. Just going to go back into the scene because I forgot to do something. So edit the scene. I left the fish there. We don't want that fish there at all. I can come back out of the scene, going to press play, and this should now all be fully working. Our simple AR with tracked objects. And from this point on, like I've said, all of my other tutorials on the playlist should be just fine. If they don't, give me a little shout and I'll go and look at them. But there we go. We can now see we've got a fish. We've got some clipping plane issues. We'll fix that. I've made them a bit too big and a bit too tall, but we can see they are there and they are tracking the images. Okay, if you found this video useful, please remember to like, subscribe. I'll be doing a lot more content over the next few weeks, particularly around using Unity 6 with AR and VR. So I shall see you in the next one.